Welcome to another Notebook Check Tech review. We've got the Acer Aspire V15 Nitro here, a high-end €1,200 bit of 15-inch screen kit. It is high quality all round and it scored 85% in our score. It's based on Skylake U-Series CPU inside this, plus an NVIDIA GTX 950M, so pushing up to gaming capability. 85% is a good score, but let me tell you why it scored that. And I'll give you some of the performance test results from our full review and our lab test. So let's take a quick look at the working fascia here. The keyboard, slightly concave keys, it's got a backlight to it and a good feel. There's very little flex in it as well. In fact, the whole chassis is very nicely and tightly built. Touchpad there, nice and smooth with soft clicks, and it's a good large touchpad. There's that screen, full HD matte and IPS, so good viewing angles, and that matte finish really helps in bright settings as well. In fact, the brightness of this is fairly good, 328 nits center brightness. There's a good black level, so this means there's a nice contrast ratio of around 1000 on this. Color accuracy is good with delta figures of below 5 for grayscale and color. Adobe RGB coverage is 54%. So this is not a super high-end color accurate screen, but a very good screen and certainly suitable for gaming and some level of photography and video work too. So let's give you a quick look at the ports there. Full Ethernet or full HDMI, 2 USB 3s and a USB-C port there. That's not a full USB 3.1 data set behind that. That's a USB 3 port behind that. Flipping over to the other side, you've got the multi-DVD read writer and another USB port there. There's a Kensington port lock there. Now on the underside, let me just flip that, you'll find the full SD card slot there, and that's not a full-length SD card slot, but that's a full-size SD card slot there. So look at the back here, not a lot going on, but something to mention because that back is a little bit difficult to take off, and it's difficult to access things like the RAM and the M2 SSD that's inside there. But these speakers are very good. We've got some great performance out of those speakers, and there's the fan output port at the back there. So on the performance, I'll put some of these up on the screen for you. Cinebench R11.5, 3.63 points. That's a good score, but Ultrabook range score, it doesn't compare with some of the higher voltage processors. PC Mark 8 score, 3447 points. That's 10% up on last year's Acer VN7, and that's using the home score accelerated. Go to the work score accelerated, and again it's 10% above last year's model. The SSD itself, 435 megabytes per second maximum read speed with a 27.86 4K write speed. That could have been a bit better on the 4K writes, but it's certainly acceptable. Not a screaming SSD though. Look at the hard drive, and there's a 1 terabyte hard drive inside here. Sequential read of only 115.7 and a 4K write of 1.138. So you can see the limitations of the spinning hard drive there. So really meant for data storage rather than operational use. On the 3D Mark score, 2013, that's the 1280 by 720 CloudGate score. Again, 10% up on last year's model with a score of 9618 points. So the GTX 950M bringing in some good performance for gamers as well. For example, Evolve, we tested it with high graphics settings on a 1920 by 1080 screen size, coming in at 26 frames per second. Down to medium settings, and we're getting nearly 50 frames a second on that. Dirt Rally, Metal Gear Solid also bringing in reasonable frame rates at high settings. So there's no noise or heat problems on this Acer Aspire V15. 48.4 was the maximum we could measure in this area of the keyboard here, but that's certainly acceptable under the loads we put it through. Now, battery life. The battery inside is a 52.5 watt hour battery, so a reasonable size battery, and that's why we're getting nearly 13 hours of idle out of it. But a more interesting performance result for battery life is Wi-Fi surfing at 6 hours, and that's more representative of the sort of daily work that this device is going to be doing. If you're doing gaming, expect under 2 hours of battery life. The pros and cons, I'll leave the pros up on the screen and just talk about the cons. It's the upgrade and maintenance capability, the access port at the back that's difficult, poor webcam quality, and that USB Type-C with USB version 3 inside, not 3.1. Latency and response times of the screen are long if you're really expecting high response rate screens for gaming, but for those using this for office or maybe video editing and photo editing, that's really not an issue. The Acer Aspire V15 Nitro VN7 scoring 85% in our multimedia weighted test result. 85% for the V15 Nitro, not much to mark it down on there at all. The access for maintenance and upgrading a little bit difficult, and maybe that webcam is of lower quality than it should be on a €1,200 device. It's up to you whether this fits your needs. If you've used it, if you're interested in it, or if you've got questions, don't forget comments below in the video. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe, because we've got a lot more videos coming up this week. In fact, 4 or 5 coming up in the next 4 or 5 days. Stay tuned and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.